Greetings, friends. This is the first video, I guess, for this concept that I have in mind. This isn't going to be one of those videos where we're asking for subscriptions or likes or anything like that. At least not yet. At least not yet. But super low key, super. You can consider this like dev diaries. You've seen those dev diaries, right? People go on forums and kind of document the process of building. So this is more or less that, with maybe a slight twist as well too. So my background is in user experience design. I've done that for a while now. I started out doing just like pure visual design and like pure fine arts, and then moved to UX when UX became a thing, and then did like website designs as well too, enough to be able to get close to websites, and that got me to HTML, CSS, and then eventually I have to learn JavaScript. So you can consider me like really great designer, forced to learn enough coding to be dangerous. JavaScript is, the language of the web, so that's what I'm more proficient in. But every year, and this is what this channel is about. Every year I build something for my kids, and most of the time I try to avoid the code barrier. So I try to do no code or very little code or extremely simple engines. And I mean, they're great, but you can't really produce anything very novel with those things. And I love games. That's one thing. I grew up on Super Nintendo, SNES. I grew up playing a lot of JRPGs. Some of the modern stuff that I like is even still kind of like from that era, like Hollow Knight. You can say it's modern, but it's got that feel of the 90s, maybe even late 80s as well too. So I love 2D still. I don't hate 3D. It's just I have a thing for 2D. So a lot, as you can see, like these are my designs. So a lot of this stuff probably feels inspired of that. In hindsight, this kind of feels like it could be a world in Hollow Knight maybe. But I'll introduce this game and kind of who I'm building it for. I'm building it for my kids. So it's got this PG, approachable, accessible for families kind of a vibe to it. And I started using Defold, I'm not sure, the game engine to build this out. I also tried Godot as well too, and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing that one right either. But of the two, I decided to go Defold just because like 3 years ago I tried it and like I was like, this is too hard. I wasn't that good of a programmer then, so I wanted to give it another shot. And I already know some of the personalities in the forum, so I felt like I wanna. I had such a great time last time, even though I wasn't able to finish it. I want to finish it this time, so. I do have one paid mentor. It was almost two, and there might be more as well too. So I'll introduce the game, and then I'll introduce the call to action, I guess you can say, from this video, which is I'm not intending to do this alone at all. Even with the paid mentor, meaning I intend to get more, maybe contract out some work. So if you're a dev and engineer and you can allocate some time, I'm definitely looking for you. If you're somebody who just wants to get a really nice polished game on their resume, you just want to contribute time instead of money, or instead of getting paid if you just want to contribute code or designs, I'm looking for you. If you're a designer and you can't code a game, but you really want to be part of the experience and you want to create characters or enemies or icons, abilities, whatever it is in Figma, that's what I'm using for design, I'm looking for you. If you're an animator, I'm using Rive for animation. I'll get into that probably a little bit later as well too. You're more than welcome as well too. So what is this like? I want this to be like a super collaborative, open source, meaning I guess yes, open source with some my mentor recommended. Make it open source, but just stipulate that people can't take it and sell it off. But I do want people to see the whole experience and the process and be able to, download it and make it their own as well too. But I do have a narrative and I do have a story and open for writers, music composers as well to collaborate on this. Again, like I said, for some people, I'll probably have to have some base paid mentors, paid engineers. But I'm not really looking for like the 2, 3, 4, or even 5 person team. I'm looking for like 500, like 50, 100, 200, I don't know. A very large collaboration, and this won't be short term. This will be ongoing until we feel like the game is beautiful enough, like Hollow Knight-esque. So to get into it real quickly, we got the story, very simple framework. Guy looking for his lost brother or sister. Could be family. We can obviously flesh that out. The game loop is simple. You go around this map, and you go from place to place, and you have a chance. If you've ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, if you haven't, check it out. But Final Fantasy Tactics had this thing where you go from point to point on the map, and there's a chance that you might get into a fight, and a chance that you might just not, and you can continue traveling. So I wanted to implement that. You would, the goal was obviously to try to get to this boss while alive, while staying alive, and throughout you find different abilities, items, and maybe even like, for shops that you can purchase items from. And I think that's the gist. That's pretty much it. Logic-wise, you don't move. You're just a static character here, and it's, like I said, it's for my kids. So the whole base of the game is you form words, and this is where it's kind of like international. It'll support multiple languages. So if it were English, for example, right, this would be, C, A, and T, and if you spell that word, you would get stamina. That's how it works. So you get stamina, and stamina is the thing that's used for anything. So if you want to attack, you need stamina. If you need to use an ability, you need stamina. If you want to use an item, you require stamina. So the point is for the user to kind of like manage this to get stamina to be able to use these abilities. And the way you use abilities is you just click on, for example, Firebomb. Firebomb, yeah. And once you select it, then you click where you want to activate it. If you click here, it'll collide with anything that's in that radius. And there might be other things. This is why I'm like, let's make it a community thing instead of like me spending 3 months to produce something mediocre. You can maybe like purchase an upgrade that's like magnet or hook or something like that, and then you use it on maybe like an enemy that's a healing type that's healing enemies around it, and then you like pull it towards you or pull it away from. It can get crazy. It can get really, really amazing, and I really love the creative experience. Look, regardless, I'm going to build something for my kids every year. I do, and I can show you a couple maybe things that I've did in the past as well too, like on Itch. So this one's kind of cool. And this one was made in Games Maker Studio. So, and it got wild. And I always had mentors, mostly paid, and have them walk me through the process. There we go. Yeah, so you can like do. There we go. You switch different armors, able to attack. There we go. Yeah, you can ride a cloud. I can't remember the key inputs, but the whole goal is to protect the village, and you can even, I'm pretty sure you can, yeah. You see what happens, right? Like, you think of a feature or an idea, and then you try to quickly build it, and you can only move as fast as one person can move, so it's not the ideal way. It's actually a really fun game, and we played it often, but if you really, and this is what I believe in my daytime work and working with different startups and different companies, is if you really want to build something novel, you really do need a team. You need multiple people. So open source is kind of like the only the thing that was recommended to me in terms of like getting that collaborative feeling, and I've never done it. So I want to be able to try that out for this project. So I invite you. Come join the journey. Even if you leave feedback, that's helpful. In 3 months or so, or maybe even longer, if there's a good amount of team behind it, you'll either see a solo mediocre piece of work, so if nothing more, do it for the kids, or maybe hopefully a lot of people will join the initiative, and then we can get something really novel for kids to learn in maybe multiple languages. And play this, I think, probably adorable game. And again, it's built in a very collaborative way, meaning Figma is the design tool. So you can literally go in here. I can give people access to edit, and we can create different types of enemies together. So maybe this is, and again, I very intentionally made it very easy to manipulate so that we can think of, we can kind of iterate through these quickly and create maybe different forms of creatures. And duplicate that as well too. Did I want to do that? Maybe. Now let's keep that like this. Use this as arms. Yeah, something like that. There we go. And we have another, not completely different, but another creature that can be introduced into the game. Maybe we'll make these big bat wings like that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and maybe that's like a medium-sized enemy. And I'll show you what I got here in Defold too. So this is 1 week's worth of work, and this is my second week, so Monday today. And in 5 days or so, I was able to do this. I don't think I'm sharing that on my, hold on. I don't think I'm sharing that screen. Let me try to share that screen as well. I'm going to try to share a Defold or Defold. I'll ask the devs. I'll ask the team how to actually pronunciate it, and let's do entire screen. All right, so this is what we have. There we go. So got the character, boom, animation in there. Oh, I got to show you Rive as well too. And we got these bats that are slowly falling because I think it's a dynamic collision. There we go. And then every few seconds or so, they go in and attack the main player. So this is 1 week's worth of work. So I know I can do a lot more in 3 months. But again, the real intention and goal behind this is, yeah, all right, like I know I can produce something novel, probably a mediocre after 3 months. But what can like 30 people do? So that's the call to action. Appreciate you, and hope you join the initiative. Cheers.